Okay, so this is the last edition of 2022, and the whole idea is to get this to a ton of resources. Okay, I mean, one of my favorite places that is Barnes and Noble. Very nice story, but I want to get right into what we are doing. Um, the stream is going live, and so today what we'll be looking for is what I call the competition between magazines and books. So let me find a really good place so that we can have a good starting point from here, so that you are well, that you are getting your life ready for this. Okay, so starting with the whole point of books versus magazines, you will see, and feel free to put comments in here. You will see that today we look into a book called Across the Endless Wilds by Earl Swift from Chesapeake Record. Okay. Really recommended. Why? Because it's the story of the lunar rover and the triumph of the final final moon landings. Why it is important? Well, mostly because I'm building the moon rover, and guys, I've took a ton of things from the moon rover books, and this is one good way to pick it up and just systematize the information, and then got links on all of the moon rover work that we've done in order to get to the NASA competition. So this is a successful method to do things. And most important, make sure that I'm in a good position for like trying at a nice gentleman over there. It's this environment that allows you to speak about space in a good way. Okay, so here we go. Again, Across the Endless Wilds, really interesting book, really good book. I can put it in here so that Across the Endless Wilds, really cool book to see. As always, I would say that the way that I read these, I took a ton of notes, like really a ton of notes to do that. So this is the first book that I'm going to recommend, moving this in a month-long edition of books versus magazines. So one, Across the Endless Wilds. Let's see if I can find the title over here. Okay, I'll put the titles over here so that if you decide, and then I'll be using Amazon as the provider of the link. Okay, the link is in the chat. So that's one that can help you as you move along in your journey to learn more about space and this really inspiring work. Okay. Second book, or second really good reference from what I've learned so far, it's the following. Chasing Space, okay? Again, Chasing Space. In here, a book, it's an NAACP Image Award nominee, a work of nonfiction, An Astronaut Story of Grit, Grace, and Second Chances by Llewellyn Melvin. Well, Llewellyn Melvin is the only person in history to catch a pass in the National Football League and in space, so it's really cool, correct? In this inspirational story, or memoir, he offers an examination of intersecting worlds of strong community, personal commitment, and unwavering faith that align to shape our opportunities and outcomes. Really someone to look into. Okay? A former wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, Alan Melvin, is an engineer and NASA astronaut who served on the Space Shuttle Atlantis and was named the NASA, get this, NASA Associate Administrator for Education. He also served as a co-chair for the White House Federal Coordination in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, STEM, Education Task Force Committee. He has hosted a lifetime show called Child Genius and the judge of the ABC BattleBots. He holds 5 honorary doctorates. Yeah. And has received an NFL Player Association Award of Excellence. So he's alive. So it's something that I'm definitely reaching out because his career as an astronaut and as a footballer is really inspiring to me. Okay, so chasing space, something to look into, very exciting. Okay, in here now a new reference that I find. Oh, let me put the reference in here so that we can all use it and get the book and probably do what's called cross chasing space. A mastered story of great grace. Again, another great, I'm saying really a great reference into, another great reference for you to connect and build your space library. These guys know really well what they are doing. So chasing space is a great opportunity. And I believe I got some room still, so that's pretty cool. So that's up. And now we are moving to something called, and then this one is Dinner on Mars. Got it? Dinner on Mars. So how are we going to feed people on Mars? That's a great question, isn't it? How are we going to give them advice? Are we going to give them food on a day-to-day? So the technology that will feed the red planet and transform agriculture on Earth. So one very interesting chapter in here. Well, part 3 is all about meat. Okay, red meat. And how are we going to have meat up there? So yeah, I can't believe it's not cow. So definitely you have more ways to produce or find cow type food in there, but it's about the fact that we'll have much less waste and much more food. And the book delves that into that. The edition is from, and the edition is from 2022, so pretty actual. It will pick up most of the things that we have so far. Again, Dinner on Mars. Okay, I put the reference in here, and I'll definitely recommend that we can do a book club on this or move again, the book is by Leonard Newman and even DJ Fraser. I'm definitely not acquainted, and again, just making sure that you are okay with this. I have no connection to the authors, but I do like, and I use a ton of these materials to support my space endeavors. Okay, so we got so far here. So far we've got the 3 across the endless wild. This is really a good book. It's a must read. I've used it for my space mission because it provides the stories from the side of the people, not only the engineering side. Because also, although both are important. Okay. Now, with Across the Endless Wilds, Dinner on Mars, and Chasing Space. Now let's go into. They are all good. Okay, they are all really good. The Ad Astra from the National Space Society, it has a full chapter on the lunar economy, and the magazine is a must. It's the magazine of the National Space Society dedicated to the creation of a spacefaring civilization. Come on, It could not be better, correct? And so something that we're finding here, well, it does have a set of course, advertising because these magazines live of the advertisement. But most important, it has, well, it does have a nice interview with Rod Pyle, okay? We all know him. Um, Everyday Heroes with Anthony Postin and the storytelling is essential to imagining the future. It's a really important thing. But I want to move into not the cosmic divide, but the fact that so fabulous pictures of starbase and very, very inspiring. Also, some advantages in what's called solar power in China, pretty cool. Of course, mentioning Caltech and Dream Chaser moving on to its production phase. There's a very fundamental article on the settlement of Mars, and in here you will find notes on agriculture. I want to show you the exact tool. So Biosphere 2 and Biosphere 2 pictures, man, it's really, really cool. What I mean cool, it's because it provides you data and the people that are doing this with let's say, and his name is K-Stats. So he's in my LinkedIn network. So big hello to K-Stats. K-Stats is being mentioned in here. So everyone, at least that follows the idea to create a closed loop environment where people can live and kind of pretend that they are in space. Look into K-Stats work, okay? He's done a revisit of the Biosphere 2. So really important. Now, this is where the fun begins. It has a full chapter on the lunar economy. And I was really impressed because between the many works that are up there on the web, there is something when you start looking at the lunar economy, the next phase of the crescent economy, and start looking into, okay, what are we going to do there? What's the overall? And they have pulled up essentially the ULA roadmap, okay, for the in-space manufacturing and overall ability to go to the moon. I would say that I'm gonna get there first on that. But again, ISRE, yes, it's a harsh business. They do have the overall forecast and launch costs. We'll talk about that next with the intervention of SpaceX and this 60. I think it's just Nick Couples posted that they just did something like SpaceX did something like 61 or 62 or 65 launches. 61 launches. It's unreal. Right? Just a source of inspiration and strong execution that we do need to keep our eyes open on how do they do things. Now, okay, so really, really interesting, nice forecast on the launch costs on the top. City research, we kind of start sitting more quoting bankers, we might have some trouble, but it's what happens. Again, this costs $20, okay, $20. Sorry, worse, it's $7. $7 for really updated information on moon rovers, outer space treatment. Yeah, obviously I'm gonna get it, okay? And you've got then the possibility to have it online. Again, pretty cool. One cool thing is that moon rockets, they have arrived. So this edition has kind of a particular thing that is Artemis has flown, so we will have the ability to look into these and of course look into operations and costs. There is a big chapter on beautiful SLAs, okay, and the costs of the operations moving forward. With Project Polaris coming up on board, it's very hard to say that who will have a space program. Is it NASA? Is it SpaceX? Well, we still need a lot of money, but it's clear that more and more things are happening in these two directions at the same time. So it's not one or the other, it's two directions at the same time. Really interesting information. We did one of these, I think you guys remember from the space course. an overall comparison of the launch costs between all the spaceships. Although SpaceX Starship with super heavy boosters in here, and all the others, SLX Block 1 and Block 1B are here as well. So yeah, so really good information, a really interesting, you can call it OV1, operations concept, or operation concept number 1. I'll just show one small, there are a ton of things that we can read from here as Artemis 1 overall flight plan. It happened, so it's good to see what it really happened. Where was I? We have some pictures from it. So, and it also allows you to think about if I launch a mission to the moon. Oh, okay, this one has worked. Yes, it did. Then overall, they talked with Dylan Taylor, okay, and Roadpile. And I'll stop this because the next chapter is called Roving Distant Worlds. And guess what? That's exactly the type of work that I'm doing. So this was like a really cool thing to have. It's called Ad Astra from the National Space Society. I will subscribe to that. And they've got also some nice thing coming up, which is the IDC, the International Space Development Conference in May 2023. Oh, it's in Texas, so pretty idea. So one review to think about. I'm going to, I found this one really interesting. Okay, it's so US supersonic secret Cold War design. I don't know if the Cold War designs of the V1 to the V2 will come in, but definitely having the ability to see US supersonic bomber projects with that pretty nice. Well, there will be one just on the of course the SR-71 Blackbird. That's an iconic machine. More interesting, you have a ton of data from this, a ton of. Let me tell you which ones there are. At least in this edition, the amount of specs and data, really interesting. You've got top views and scales, 100 and okay. So what does this help for space exploration? Well, first of all, when someone starts to write down these type of things, they had a spec book before. Okay, they had a mission, or in this case, they have a product, and this is the simplest way to communicate some of these things to other people. So as you read this, you get an idea of, okay, this is what I need to get as I develop my spacecraft or my space engine. I need to get to some kind of thing, a book, the Bomber project. Okay, really cool, really tight, a bit more expensive, $22, still coming from the UK, responsible by Scott Lothar. Very pleased, okay? And the next one is more on the general side, okay? It's from How It Works, Book of Space, everything you want to know about the universe, we live in. Well, it might be hard to do everything that we need in a book of like 25 pages, but it does have very interesting parts in the following. This is why I wanted to show you this, the power of the reviews. There is also some kind of thing when you start looking into the pages and read more of these, and you've got the access of the information in your hands. Oh, it's an old school thing, but okay, I don't really know this. What this one is again, moon again. The moon is back again in the magazines. It's taking us back to think about that. Guess what? More space missions. So more ways to view both moonwalking, far side of the moon. There is a very interesting part, and here, of course, it has a full explanation, at least two parts on Mars. I've got more on the podcast, where we detail the life in Mars and the project that you can do. So that could be interesting if you want to pick it up. What I want is to look. It has this futuristic ways to think about how are we going to live in Europa? How are we going to live on Titan? How could you survive on Titan? So a um, whole sort of ways. What I wanted to show was here. Again, it has a very nice chapter on exploration, exploration, space exploration. Um, in particular, in particular, astronaut training. So for me, it's going to be most likely the first chapters as I suck into these and pick it up regarding astronaut training and what's happening. NASA basically there is also good resources, but since it takes 2 years to train to become an astronaut, makes you think, correct? Underwater astronaut training, really interesting. And there is this facility. You see that this is a pool-sized space environment. From what I read in most of the astronaut books, this is useful, but it's not the same because we have absence of gravity on the moon, or in this case, out of Earth. But kind of on water, it's just hard to move. Okay, so it's different from that. Again, what happens to the bodies? Really straightforward information. Like you can think about this as the taxonomy or the names and the things that you need to do to think about as we detail more what's called human space flight. But now you're gonna get the outside something that made me pick this magazine from there. Okay, it's the International Space Station. Man, they detailed it. They detailed the anatomy. This is one of the best that I've seen so far. Okay, they detailed the anatomy. The authors detailed also each one of the modules in here. The Svedada service module in here that I believe where currently the leak is. So makes you think, right? Again, think of these because they have all the modules that we have, and right now most of the programs are working. Most of the programs, such as Life, Blue, and Sierra, and another company that has only started with the Life Habitat. But these are known things, so you can digress more in here, try to make some more work on your own science, as it is called. Okay? So then after this, it's more about Curiosity rover, and of course, well, on the rocket science, again, it goes to all the fundamentals of rocket science and Saturn IV, the most big and powerful. It will change. It will change in the next months. And it talks about Orion. I did a detailed work with Orion because of my moon journey, and but again, cannot recommend it more. You got in your hands something that allows you, obviously, to talk about James Webb, Impossible Elliptic, right, and the Hubble. So as you move into looking into picking between books, okay, so you got the space one. I really think this one is cool. I would love to have it as well. Some of them also offer the possibility to have the magazine in digital format. So that's really cool. And I saw one or two books right now. So got this battle between books, okay? The Chasing Space, Dinner on Mars, Across the Hours, Wilds, and magazines, okay? And I think I chose them well. That's a really good one with the lunar economy, the US supersonic bomber project, and space, everything we're going to do about. So I would say if you design a system, this would be your overall physical architecture, okay? And it has a bit of the functional architecture. And then obviously this one is your physical architecture, and this one is your functional architecture. Okay? Functional meaning what are the things that we are doing there, not how we are doing. So really, really interesting one. Let me see if there are any comments. But if there aren't any comments, I will just make sure that you have all the necessary documentation so that you can progress your career and your likelihood of space. Okay, uh, I think that for my video, this is most likely going to take me a month to read before I move and do the next podcast show on this. It's focused on LinkedIn. In particular, this is a hard story. Okay, it's a combination of technical and personal journeys. Looking forward to it. Okay. With all of these, I wish you the best 2023 possible, and I will try to do at least once a month one of these, where pick up 3 books or 3 magazines or something that are repositories of information that help the space career, and publish it on LinkedIn and YouTube, and then follow it on it, because one of as I, as we've as I've expressed before, one of the reasons why I believe we are getting success with, within the NASA proposals and within the Planetary Mind scheme is because we got into the stories of the people, that how do they use hardware, and the hardware itself, how it's being designed, defined, and utilized. So, and those things are available. It's an incredible thing, isn't it? With some research, and of course, engineering side does help a ton, but research and our friend ChatGPT can also help as well. But still, you love the creation content of these. Okay, it's fundamentally strong. It's really good. There is something in this. I think, yeah, I think it was more. It was more the surprise of getting in the bookstore and finding that there is all of these things about space that can help the career, that can help you keep on the dream alive. And like you've seen in the other posts, move from dream to project, from project to business. Okay, and of course having a life that makes sure that space is in there, and you progress that with that that trilogy. We have many dreams, and some dreams become projects, and from those projects they become businesses. In this case, the business of space is hard, of course. Everyone knows that, but it's feed, it's getting it's energy from all of this. And whenever I get into that, I see that there are many people thinking about the same way. These inspiring stories. We just have to do the same. Okay. Happy New Year.